There is always good and something bad. You just have to look for it. Sometimes bad happens, so you can learn to appreciate the good. Sometimes bad things happen, so you can get closer to people. There's always a lesson to learn in the bad. The bad teaches you something. Like my friend committing suicide has made me understand why people commit suicide. One reason I think people commit suicide is because the overbearing of emotional and physical draining. They don't think anybody gets them or understands what they're going through. That they completely give up because they've had too much pain. And too many people not understanding them. The second reason I think people commit suicide is because this world has expectations of us, and we try to follow everybody else's expectations and don't try to be individual. Sometimes we listen to what the world says than what we want to be ourselves. So too much pressure to succeed, too much pressure to be somebody we are not. That's why I think he did it. And I think he did it because he really wanted that girl and he felt lonely. And if you get rejected too many times, you feel like you are ugly. Another reason I think he did it is because people misunderstand other people. Another reason I think he did it, he didn't have God in his life. The stereotype about suicide really needs to stop. This world needs to let people have an honest discussion about suicide without assuming the person wants to commit suicide just because they talk about it. And this world needs to understand mental illness does not cause a person to commit suicide. There's other stuff affected, and just because you're mentally ill does not mean you're automatically going to commit suicide. What I think people in this world needs to understand, it is okay if somebody is not like you or doesn't think like you. Why don't you embrace their individual attitude or their individuality? Why do we have to go to work and say we're fine if we're not fine just to please other people? That's part of the problem in this world. There is no authentic anymore. It's all trying to please everybody else. What about trying to please God and yourself? They tell us we're not supposed to lie. But when you say you are fine at work, that is a lie if you are not fine. And When you go to work and you say you're not fine and people think you are fine, that means that person is not validating your feelings. I think that's another reason my friend David committed suicide. Nobody really was validating his feelings, and everybody was trying to tell him what to do or what he should be doing, so there was no individuality. There was nobody. He couldn't go to people 'cause he was afraid of the stereotype, or he was afraid of getting judgmental. Why do people in this world not accept people's individuality? Why don't people be friends with the opposite of them? Why do people not like somebody that is clingy? Why do you throw people away out of your life just because they don't measure up to you? Get it right, get it straight. Nobody is better than anybody else. We just learn in different ways. I don't understand why I go to work and I say I am existing, and then people turn it around and think I want to commit suicide. That is not true. Me saying I am existing means I am alive. People misinterpret what people say instead of jumping to conclusions or giving people weird looks. Why don't you ask them what that means and actually mean to listen to them and really articulate what they're saying? Like, don't think of a response while somebody is talking. Why don't you listen, then pause, and then think? If people did that, and if people embrace other people's difference, and if people actually take the time out of their busy lives to realize the people that really need help just need help. They are not offering attention. They really need help. And why don't we stop assuming just because somebody has a mental illness or all the warning signs of suicide does not mean they're going to commit suicide. And just because somebody has a mental illness or a disability does not mean they can't teach you something. That is all, folks.